I don't know if there's anything that could possibly adequately prepare us for what's about to go down in the transfer portal. Because think about what you know about the transfer portal. What is it typically used for? Hey, guy's not playing at school A, he'll transfer to school B to try and get himself some more playing time and try and make himself some more money when he gets to the NFL. Hey, coach has changed, that's fine. He's going to transfer and play somewhere else that he is more comfortable. He's not going to be with that new staff, whatever. Like, typically, the transfer portal has been used for, I don't know if disgruntled is the right word. It can be the right word in certain situations, but typically one player looking for a better situation for their on-field production. We're still going to see that. Like, don't get it twisted. That's still a reality. But the transfer portal is going to be absolutely wild because now you're going to see good players from good teams still jumping in the portal, testing the waters. And Lane Kiffin actually was a little bit ahead of this when last year I had an interview with Sports Illustrated, and he said, if I'm Alabama, Bryce Young, like, I'm jumping in the portal just to see what I can get because remember, NIL is now a very real thing. Players can go and see what their value is at other places, and the portal is, on paper at least, the perfect medium to explore that. So let's unpack that a little bit. I think Lane Kiffin is right and wrong at the same time. Yes, you're going to get players testing the waters, trying to find out what their value is and see how much they can get. If I'm Alabama's Bryce Young and I'm getting, let's just throw a random number out there. Let's say he's getting $1 million at Bama. Well, if he thinks he's worth more and he goes in the portal and other schools say, hey, to a degree, we think this is the amount you could make here. This is kind of the NIL structure we have in place. That could look generally like maybe $2 million. Well, then, credit to Bryce Young, getting in the portal, using the leverage, and getting there. I want to make sure I say this very clearly. I'm using Bryce Young as an example because of what Lane Kiffin said in that interview. This is in no way, shape, or form a conversation about Bryce Young. Now, that's where I think he's right. Players can now, in theory, kind of shop themselves. Even if you're on a good team and you're a good player and you're getting a lot of playing time, you now have the ability to make more money. And the portal is a good way to test that. So you can shop. That's where he's right. Now, here's where I think Lane Kiffin is wrong. Tampering is an extremely real thing. If you don't believe that, you're just sort of putting your head in the sand. Like you're just sort of turning a blind eye to all that because it's happening. Whether it's through back channels, whether it's through coaches being in contact when they're not supposed to be, tampering is a very real thing. So when I say players will shop, I think we're going to see more of that in the second tier kind of players, if that makes sense. Like I said, still a good player on a good team, but someone who's the caliber of a Heisman Trophy winner, I promise you, if they're thinking at all about transferring and trying to find out what their value is at another school, through the back channels, without even having to go in the portal, they know what their value is at the other school. Like they don't have to jump in the portal to wait and see, hey, what can I get from another school? And I talked to different coaches and they said, yeah, essentially what you're going to have is players trying to leverage NIL. But the big players, the ones that are, top tier A1 kind of guys, if they jump in the portal, it's not going to be to shop. It's going to be because they're going somewhere else. Because like I said, they've already gotten word through a trainer, from a coach, like all these different chains of communication from the eventual source, whether it's a booster or the school, whatever it is, they will have gotten that information. And so when they do jump in the portal, it's not bluffing. When you see that 5-star name come across your screen on whatever sleepy day it is, that's not just to test the waters. It's a real thing. Really quickly, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, we would love to have you at the party. Transfer portal season is here. It's in full swing. The portal opens officially in just a few short days. We're going to have you covered on here. All right, so make sure you're locked and loaded with us. We're going to have analysis, breakdowns, all that in a bag of chips. So make sure you're subscribed. We don't want you to miss a minute of it. Also, follow me on the social channels at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. So, like I said, the tampering is a very real thing. NIL is playing a huge part in this right now. And one thing I don't know we're addressing enough is the fact that NIL is pretty new, right? Like from a structure standpoint, it became a reality legally July of 2021. So last year, you had people trying to raise money on the fly, and everyone's like, okay, we can now pay players for their image and likeness. How do we create resources for that? How do we support this? How do we get competitive in that? Now, a full year has come and gone. And the big boys, they got their ducks in a row. I talked to a coach today that told me, essentially, the programs that care about football and that have people, boosters and fans that care about football, they're going to crush it in NIL. And that's going to, in turn, impact the portal. And so we used to think, hey, the big market schools, right? The USCs, which, to be fair, they did crush it in the portal. The Miamis, and they've done well themselves. Those big markets, we thought that was going to be the original play, right? Well, yes, but also Auburn, Alabama, sounds like they have just a sleeping giant in the NIL circle. It's not really a place where you imagine titans of industry to reside. It's not like it's LA or anything, but they're going to be really competitive because, like I said, boosters and fans that are contributing and pushing the NIL ball down the road. And that's really what this whole transfer portal discussion comes down to. It's not so much about the on-field situation when it comes to some of these high-profile players. It's about getting what you're worth. And to some degree, you say more power to them. Now, I will say this. Be careful those players that decide to jump in the portal to shop. Because when you do jump in the portal as a player, you go and tell your coach, hey, coach, I'm going to jump in the portal. I may or may not be back. Well, guess what? That coach can look right at you and say, you may or may not be back. That's fine. We may or may not have a spot for you. So don't get it twisted. Yes, there's a lot of mobility and power to the players. There's a lot of power with these schools and these programs as well. Like, they don't have to then honor your aid when you jump into the portal. It's the reality. So how is it going to impact the game? How is this whole transfer portal development going to impact our game at the college football level? Well, first look at the coaching changes. It's changing the entire way that we hire coaches. The schools are now asking for coaches when they hire them. Well, hey, who's coming with you? If we hire you, what players do you think we could get with you when we hire you? And the coaches are asking these schools, hey, if I do sign up to be the head coach here, what's the NIL resources like? Because, again, the coach told me that question is becoming almost as important as how much is the salary for the head coach. Like, hey, how much am I working with here? And down the road, I think we're going to get to see more of this become structured, more information regarding NIL, and we'll see whether it's a team like USC that wins the national title or Tennessee or, insert any school here. Then we'll get to have a gauge for, okay, they had these transfers and they likely had this much in NIL, and that's what equated to them winning so many games. Now, you still have to have all of the things that are non-negotiables to being successful on the field. Culture, development, all that. But to the same token, when you get that player that's played for 3 years at another program and he shows up at your place day one, the expectation is you have what you need talent-wise to be successful. So in that way, we're going to see these coaching hires, these contracts, be a little bit shorter because the ROI is expected to be gotten at a quicker rate. I mean, look at USC. USC is the perfect case study in how the transfer portal can revamp an entire program. Last year, USC's 4-8. They're watching bowl season at home. Fast forward the tape, get a phenomenal quarterback in the portal, get Jordan Addison, wide receiver in the portal, get some really special skill players, Mario Williams, Travis Dye, Brendan Wright. I mean, you go down the list here at USC, they went and got themselves some ballers in LA. Right now, sitting pretty, going to play for a Pac-12 championship, going to have a chance to make a college football playoff berth. That's, I think, the most concise picture we've seen so far of how NIL, how the transfer portal can change the landscape for your program. So like I said, coaches, when they get hired, I think the average contract length is going to be closer to 2, maybe 3 years. Right now, it's somewhere close to 5 years. The expectation is come be our coach, bring some of your guys with you, let's win some games. That's going to be the new standard, I think, when it comes to the transfer portal. So to recap, it's not going to be your typical transfer portal that you've grown accustomed to. Really good players on really good teams are going to try to leverage the NIL deal. It's a reality. The NIL package is going to be one of the biggest dominoes in why kids decide to transfer. Now, for those top tier guys, those guys you talk about being first-round draft picks, the Heisman Trophy conversation kind of guys, those guys, when they jump in the portal, it's not to shop. Because I promise you, through back channels, they already know what they're worth, okay? Just to keep it a buck. Tampering's a real thing. Don't pretend it's not. Coaching changes, coaching hires, NIL, resources, fans caring, boosters caring, those are questions you got to ask now if you're a coach looking for a new job. How much support do I have to go and assemble the best program that I need to have to be successful? It's a key question. Buckle up. It's about to get wild, and we're going to have you locked in and covered for every single thing regarding the transfer portal, regarding the college football landscape going forward. Portal season's here, y'all. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Again, if you have not yet joined the party and subscribed, we'd love to have you. And we got content coming for you every single day, whether they're playing games, whether we're talking the transfer portal, whether we're talking recruiting. This is your home for everything that you know and that you love about college football. Jack Terry doing the heavy lifting. This is your show. We're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.